What's up guys, Lisa He of Borderlands Bakery here, and today I'm going to talk about a question that I get like almost daily. What tips do you have for a beginner cookie decorator? So usually when people ask me this, they mean two things, like tips as in actual skills or advice, and then tips as in what kind of tools do I need. So I'm gonna touch on both of those things because I think it's enough to talk about in 10 minutes. First thing is what I like to call sage advice. It's stuff that, like, when I started cookie decorating, I wish another person would have told me, and it's not actually related to cookie decorating, but it's related to like the mindset of taking on this new hobby. First thing is being patient, and there's really no replacement for putting in the time and the repetitions to practice a new skill. It's really easy to get caught up in comparison, especially because it's so easy to compare yourself to all the stuff that's out on the internet. But you really have to be realistic and put a check in there, because like most of the stuff we see is sped up, or they've been doing it for a long time, or there's a cheat or a hack there. Like, that's not reality is what I'm trying to say. And if you already automatically straight out the gate start comparing yourself to everybody else out there, you've already discouraged yourself. So pause, patience. Don't compare yourself to these other people, because there's always someone better, always someone more awesome, and it's gonna start feeling really bad, and that will prevent you from making progress. Nobody gets good at anything overnight. We're all really bad at something before we get good at something, so be nice to yourself. Number two, be resourceful. What does that mean? People get really mad at me when I tell them, please go Google it. I'm not telling you go Google it because I'm lazy and I don't want to give you the answer. I'm telling you go Google it because the act of going to find information will teach you a skill that it's like priceless. You can't like put a price on how resourceful people are. The more resourceful you are, the less you depend on other people. When I first started decorating cookies in 2011, there were much less resources on the internet than there are now, like Sweet Am's, one of the OG, right? That's kind of the only person that was really active and consistent on YouTube, but today there are a gazillion. So tap into those resources. If you have a question, literally your first reaction should not be to, I'm gonna DM this random person on the internet. It should be to, let's check the Google machine first. And if I've like spent a good 5 to 10 minutes checking it out and I can't find anything, the next step should be, maybe I'm a part of a Facebook group, and that's what community is for. Post on a Facebook group. We welcome you to join our Facebook group. Check us out, we'll link it over here, and ask those questions to a community and people will jump in and help. And like the very last thing you should depend on is like reaching out to a specific person, because like they don't owe us anything. We don't owe each other anything, and they might not have time to get to your question, or they might accidentally just miss it. So don't take it personally if you reach out to someone, they don't give you a response, but also don't like expect a response, if that makes sense, just because the reality is that things are a little bit more complicated than just, why aren't you answering me? Or what is the answer to this question, right? There's also so many nuances when it comes to baking that you want to be more specific about the questions you ask. So keep that in mind as you're starting on this journey. The other piece of this whole advice situation is the what tools do you need to be successful, like the bare minimum for starting cookie decorating. For a lot of the tools that I'm recommending, you can't beat Amazon. Like, I know we're supposed to hate our corporate overlords, but not everybody has the ability to spend money, more money supporting a small business. So Amazon is a great place to start. You know, your local Walmart, Michael's, Target. You can also look for some of these tools there. If there's anything that I'm mentioning, I will try my best to link it down below in the description box. But if you need a link to something else, drop a comment and I will go find it for you, or you can do like a little search on Amazon for yourself. That works too. All right, first thing, this is not a physical thing, but it's also related to a physical thing. I don't know why I'm explaining this. You want a good recipe, right? So you want a decent cookie and icing recipe. There are a gazillion free ones on the internet. You can start with any of them. If you don't know how to bake, that's like, we just gotta take one step back to like learn how the basics of baking. But there are tons of free recipes out there. You gotta put in the time and effort to try them. You can purchase one of our recipes or come take one of our classes, but it's not needed if you're willing to put in the time and the effort to go experiment for yourself. I always recommend that over like, you know, buying a recipe, especially because like nothing is guaranteed when it comes to recipes. You can get as precise as possible, and it's virtually impossible to 100% duplicate somebody else's exact equipment, environment, and actual technique. Let's talk about baking trays and liners. I use aluminum baking trays. I feel like they work the best for me in even distribution. I also use silicone baking mats, but with both of these things, there's leeway, especially when you're starting out. Whatever you can get that's the easiest and most affordable for you to get, you should get. But keep in mind, there is a little bit of like a material and quality situation here. So if you're just starting out, get the cheap stuff until you know that you want to pursue this, and then you can spend more money. But if you go to Target, you can pick up Nordic Ware aluminum sheets for about 10 bucks a sheet. It's not that bad. Keep your eye out at Costco. They always have great deals for Nordic Ware. And Amazon's actually a stable, not so bad price either. But my order would be Costco first, and then go to Amazon, Target, Walmart, those things to check it out. You can use aluminum, you can use dark. They do behave a little bit differently, but for beginners, until you start struggling, it's not gonna be an issue at the beginning. Now, liners, I mentioned briefly that I use silicone baking mats. You can also use parchment, or you can use Teflon. All of these things behave a little bit differently, and understanding the nuances would be good. Google the differences between silicone, parchment, Teflon for baking, and you will learn a lot. Third piece of equipment, oven thermometer. And the reason why this is like the thing that I harp on all the time, and people don't believe me until they actually get one and they're like, oh, that's why. I can't tell you how many messages I get all the time. My cookies are spreading. What is happening? Everything's whack. It should be done. I baked an extra 10 minutes. I baked 5 minutes less and it still burned, right? You get all these things. And for the most part, this problem would be solved with an oven thermometer, because that measures the actual temperature inside our oven. Most home ovens are off by like 25. I've seen somebody's oven off 75 degrees. Guys, a difference of 75 degrees is huge. Even 25 degrees is huge. That affects your bake time. The way that the air circulates in your oven also affects how your stuff bakes up. So those things matter, but the only thing that you can really control is getting an oven thermometer to measure the actual temperature, so that you know you're baking at what you believe you're baking at, which will reduce one more potential area of error when you bake. A lot of times when people see their cookies spread too much, these are like the cutout decorated cookies that are supposed to keep their shape, right? It's mainly because either of a ratio issue, a technique issue when it comes to your butter being too warm or too cold in some cases, but most of the time it's an oven thermometer issue. You're not baking at a temperature where you allow your cookie to set and bake at the same time. Rolling pin. Why are rolling pins so important for decorated cookies? Because we want like nice even surfaces, all of our cookies to be uniformly thick. I like using the guided rolling pins. They're incredibly affordable on Amazon. I've never seen guided rolling pins in person for as cheap as I've seen them on Amazon, so I will give you the options here. They come with guides on the side, and you can roll to various thicknesses. I have my thickness preferences, but it depends on your recipe, your preferences, and our culture, because different cultures like different crispnesses and textures. But you do need a rolling pin, and I suggest a guided one for rollout decorated sugar cookies. Piping bags. If you're gonna be working with raw icing, chances are you could be dipping it, like doing like a marble look if you want. You can also be like using a spatula to spread it on. No problem. But for a lot of us, we work with like piped designs to fill and then put designs on top. You can start off with Ziploc bags. You don't need to go out and buy piping bags. We carry piping bags in our store that are like not the cheapest. You can go to Walmart, Target, Michael's, Amazon, and you'll get cheaper. But yeah, piping bags. Ziplocs are great to start, but they're very weak if you're someone who likes to apply a lot of pressure when piping, and they can bust very easily. Only 2 cents about Ziplocs, because most people, when they use Ziplocs for piping, they're using like the really thin, small ones. Of course, if you use like a gallon, it's a little bit different, like a gallon freezer one, because they're so thick. Now I'm rambling. Piping bags, you need piping bags. The next thing that you'll want is a scribe tool, and that's just a fancy name for a pointy pokey thing. The scribes are used to help maneuver your icing, move it around, pop air bubbles, all the little like things to help perfect your icing layers or to clean up boo-boos. You can go ahead and just use a toothpick to start. Keep in mind, because it's wood, the icing sticks a little bit more, so just make sure to like clean it off often so you don't get a bunch of gunk every time you're using a toothpick. And then you can graduate from toothpicks to like cocktail picks, or you can spend some money on a cute scribe like this if you want on our website, borderlandsbakery.com. Absolutely not necessary, but do get yourself some kind of scribe tool, it'll help. Food color, generally a must, depending on if you're okay with artificial or not. There are a lot of options. I will link them down for you below. I have the brands that I like. I find that if you're just dabbling in cookie decorating and you're not sure if this is for you and you don't want to spend a lot of money, go to the grocery store and buy whatever they have there. Keep it in mind, a lot of the grocery store ones are the diluted little clay, find a picture, throw it up here, of food colors. Gel colors are more popular now. Gels are a little bit more concentrated, so you use less to get more color payoff. I recommend a couple of different brands for gel colors that you can grab on Amazon, but honestly the Wilton gels are not like a bad starting point, especially if you have easy access to a Target or a Michaels. Beyond those basic things for cookie decorating, everything else becomes a nice to have or something that you get as you get more serious about your hobby, or maybe you're even considering opening up your own cottage bakery. Like any other industry, there are endless toys and accessories and things that you can use. You know, you could be stenciling, you could be airbrushing, you could be using a projector. There are just endless amounts of toys, and it can get very overwhelming very quickly. But as long as you stick with the basics and use this as a jumping point into however you want to pursue your cookie decorating, that's totally cool. But I'm really here to just help you get the bare minimum that you need to get started. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions at all, drop them down below. And if you want to get more serious, we offer a bunch of classes on our website. Check it out, bakingwithborderlands.com. And if you're a cottage baker and you're watching this, check out our software app for cottage bakers. It helps you build a website and it helps you manage your orders and sell your custom products. mycustombakes.com. Thank you so much again for your time, and I will see you guys in the next video.